Hey guys, you are tuned back in to the SoulSense podcast. You have your first host, Kim, and I have my trusty wingman, Melvin, here.
Hola.
Okay, whatever. So we took a week off because we had the holidays, and well, actually, we actually did post one the week of Thanksgiving. It was the week after that we didn't post. So this past week. So, but we're back for another one and another one. Yay, yay.
And I just want to let y'all know that we do a sound check before this every time. And Kimberly always, what do you call it, lowballs me on her levels.
See,
I say, talk real, Kimberly.
I
Give me your
do.
regular. But then the first two words she says sends us into over the level that we want to be at.
See, nobody even knows what you're talking about because I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
They'll know
But
when it busts through their
okay,
eardrums.
okay, okay.
So
But,
yeah,
but yeah,
we what was it Thanksgiving was our last one right before
yeah,
Thanksgiving.
I think we posted one and went live like the week of Thanksgiving, but then we came back the next week, which was this past week, and you went out of town for work, and I was at home with our two munchkins by myself. And then we went to Memphis to be a part of the St. Jude Marathon. Let's be very clear, we did not do the marathon, we did the 10K, but that is a huge accomplishment.
Yes, that's a marathon to me. Now,
Mm,
Kimberly actually runs, and she's in good shape. Me, on the other hand, I look like I'm in shape. Someone would mistake the fact. She said I look like a runner,
yeah.
but yeah, it's not true. I just have a high metabolism, I
I
guess.
mean, he looked like the truth out there. So he done went out and got him some little running tights and stuff like that. And we both got us some good running shoes, which he only had laced up like twice since we got it back in September, got them. And I'm surprised your shoes were even broken in good
They
enough.
weren't broken in good enough. I want you to look every time I go into yellow up to the red.
When I don't even know where I'm looking. I see a whole lot of things moving.
Those green lines.
Okay, there's lots of green lines.
But anyway, they were not broken in, and they were hurting around my ankles.
That means you had them tied too tight. I told
Ah,
you that. We talked
yeah.
about that.
But yeah, it was good though. So my travels have been Ohio for how many days? What, 4 days?
When did we go up there? On
Tuesday,
Tuesday. We flew up
came
there
back
Tuesday
on
night,
Saturday,
Saturday
uh,
evening.
and then I came home. I was in my house for 2 days, and no, one day.
No, you were there for Sunday, Monday. You flew out on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, Sunday, Monday. Flew out on Tuesday morning to San Diego. Was in San Diego until Friday.
Mm.
And then while there, they asked me to push my flight back, so I pushed my flight back a little bit, which I flew directly from San Diego to Memphis, and then woke
And
up to
not even
run.
24 hours.
Yeah, and then woke up to run a race early that next morning, and
Mm-hmm.
then hopped on the road and drove back to Texas.
On Monday.
Yeah, so a lot of traveling. Kimberly had to do the extra lifting with the kids, and so yeah, it's been an adventure. But
Hence why we didn't have the episode, but I know you guys understand.
yeah, but we definitely did enjoy our time. I enjoyed. It was a good time to be with both our families. Something that we really wanted to do more of this year, um, and that was good. And I think that's a piece of growth for us. Just kind of getting into the understanding of, like, you know, for different reasons, we we would have, so like we take our vacations and maybe try to go somewhere um relaxing or whatever, and you I don't know, you could just look at a lot of times when you go visit family, it's not going to necessarily be a relaxing vacation because especially the way we try to do it, we try to go and serve and
Yeah.
be, you know, and that could be a lot sometimes. But a lot of the stuff that's happened within the last few years for us, especially us not even being able to go because of having kids and health and just different things. Then our parents are getting older and having different health issues. It just, you start to realize like, man, we don't, tomorrow is not promised for anybody. And we need to make sure we're leaning into our family. We do a lot of things to help other people, but like, what are we doing to help our family?
Yeah.
And ultimately just pouring into them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we went to my family first in Ohio, and it was really good to see just how far um, we've come. Whether it's Kimberly and my mom, and just how their relationship has really kind of uh, blossomed into like a real mother daughter type of relationship. It was a lot easier for me to kind of fall in with Kimberly's family, and I think it's just a natural thing with, like, I'm a mama's boy. Would you say?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a easier, and I think just my temperament um, just made it it was a easier, I don't know, easier, but it just happened more than that. You know what it is though? I had more opportunities because your family lived closer and they
Yeah.
were always there. They were always traveling
Yeah.
in.
I think there were a lot of factors. Like, and so let's break it down because I don't want y'all to think like, me and Melvin's mom came to blows or anything like that. Because it wasn't like that. We dated for about 4 years before we got married. And you got to understand that there's a few layers to our family. So, for one, Melvin is from the Midwest and I am from the Deep South. So, that alone, how our families are, they're just different. Not one's better than the other. It's just because of the regionally, we're just different. Another thing is, I'm the baby in my family. Melvin is the oldest. So, I think one of the biggest things that happened early on when we were dating that probably rubbed Melvin's mom the wrong way was that I just really wasn't out of myself when we dated. A big part of us dating, I was in nursing school or studying for an exam to get my license. And so we started having like spending holidays together after our first year of dating. So I spent a lot of Thanksgivings with his family. And a lot of times when we would go on Thanksgiving break, when I came back on that Monday to go to school, I had a huge exam. And so a lot of times I would like pretty much be into our bedroom studying, reading. Any downtime I would be like, Thanksgiving break was not enjoyable for me because I always had the impending doom of a test that was on that Monday when we came back from break. And so I remember one time that like Melvin had like mentioned to me like, "Hey, can you go and just spend some time with my mom out in the kitchen and just kind of sit out there?" And I remember me kind of like huffing and puffing about it because it's like he knows I'm back here trying to study and everything like that. Like this is my future, but I mean I did it begrudgingly, and in hindsight, I'm pretty sure that could have been seen, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm pretty sure I didn't do a good job of hiding that. But so I think a lot of that I take full responsibility for that. And it was just things like that, that I could see, how me now being a mother, how that would kind of like somebody coming around my family and I just was very selfish. And then we just had some communication. I really had, just like I learned my own mom because I grew up with her, I had to learn my new mother in love and what her quirks were and really learning her nonverbal cues. And you don't realize that you know that about your loved ones until you have to learn that about your loved ones. Like my mother and my father, Of course, I know their nonverbal cues when they're tired, they're exhausted, they're frustrated because I grew up with them. My sister, I know when they don't want to be bothered, or I know when they're in a bad mood because I know their tendencies. I had to learn that with my mother in law. So sometimes she would be like, you know, I don't know, in a bad mood. She got off the phone, somebody made her mad, and then here I come in talking, and and I'm wondering why she's getting short with me or why she's getting short with somebody else. But I had to learn her. So it's not anything. It was just we had to learn and grow each other. And so I was just telling Melvin that we've definitely had our run-ins, our bumps, but I have to praise God because like that is a relationship that I prayed very heavily about, and I can honestly say like that's my girl. Like that is my home girl. Like we go out and get our nails done, we go shopping. I'm like, like that's my girl. I think she calls me before she even called her own son. And and that it's like the thing about growth is you can want growth and you expect results like overnight, but then it doesn't work like that. And then one day you look up and you're like, wow, we've grown. You know what I'm saying? And we've grown a lot. And it was a testament, that was a true testament when we came back from Thanksgiving, because like I'm in the kitchen and I'm like cooking, and we had like, other family that came in, and I'm like, here, baby, you want you something to drink? Yeah, I want, and I'm like it's my kitchen, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm like a daughter. I'm truly like a daughter, and that's growth, you guys. That's growth.
Yeah. And you know, the my looking from the outside looking in, the thing that I knew was, I'm an observer of people a lot of times, and I try to kind of get where people are. I am not a super, you know, fiery person or emotional person, but I can be passionate when need be, you know. But the thing that I did see was that, um, first off, I know that my mom knew Kimberly loved me, and that she only wanted the best for me, and that she was like I was a better version of myself with her. She definitely didn't drag me down. Um, and I think there was two major factors in kind of their, uh, like they're very similar in the way, like the people who I tend to be drawn towards are, you know, very emotional, uh, like big lovers, right? So most people who are big lovers, the other side of that is, they wear their emotions on their sleeve, and they can be, if you're not careful, if you don't have somebody to run it by, or if you're not aware of it, you can, be very sensitive and kind of let your interpretation of things just kind of run away with itself. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
And I think my mom, and I try to tell Kimberly that, like, I was like, my mom is a big lover, and not like a usual type of love. Like, there's nothing that someone could do that would, like, my mom loves for the sake of loving. There's people who I know who have hurt her like several times, but she would still not hesitate to give to them. You know what I mean? To help them out in the same exact situation that they may have hurt her in before. And her kind of approach to it is like she does whatever she does it because she feels it's right. And that same type of thing could, it also kind of manifests itself in, uh, her being her feelings are on her sleeves on certain things, and then you're also dealing with your son, and she's starting to see things that I would typically have gone to her for. I'm bringing Kimberly in. I remember it like it was yesterday, just kind of the whole thing. But like,
Unfolding of
yeah,
it.
but I did, you know, if we could pick that apart for a second, I don't know if other people may go through those type of situations. I know when I look at what I could have done better, um, of course, it just was time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really all it was.
We had to get to know each other
Yeah, and
and
I
like really know each other.
right, right,
Like,
because whenever you have an intimate relationship with people, the only difference between you and the stranger off the street is that you know this person enough to give them the benefit of the doubt, and sometimes it doesn't matter how much like there was nothing I could tell Kimberly or nothing I could tell my mom about Kimberly that would let them know. Like they would have to experience it for themselves. They would have to find a love for one another that would supersede any of the like little itty bitty hurts that's because it still comes along. That's just being in a relationship with somebody. But I think for myself, I wish that I would have um, confronted the situation head on instead of kind of like, appearing to choose sides or appearing to, because ultimately, like my mom raised me with the stone cold core belief that when you find a woman that you're going to marry, that is your first priority now. Like there was never any mistakes about that. Like my mom raised me to believe that whenever you find somebody that you feel is important enough to give your last name to marry, like you have to, that's who you got to ride with them. and
yeah.
and so there was never any like my mom would feel like that, and in retrospect, if I would have been like, Kimberly, don't talk, if I would have just jumped off, and my mom would be like, you're not ready to get married. Like I do feel like that. She's like, you're not ready to get married, but I think I could have been more, like I said, been more proactive in making you guys handle that situation and confront it head on.
Well, you say that in hindsight, and we know that hindsight is 2020, but it's like you don't know what you don't know. I mean, honestly, you don't know what you don't know. And it's really one of those things that's like I'm glad that it happened early on because we cut our teeth and we can move on. I can imagine that there are some people who they don't have that type of bump until they've been like 10 years married or 5 years married or something like that. The parents move into town and now everything is a surprise.
And like, people will show this fake part of themselves until it's too late. And
Yeah.
so the thing that if there's anything that I could say anybody could take from it is like, if you're just getting married or if you're, you know, whatever it is, just be your genuine self, be your authentic self. And then you will keep from, like, it may be hard at the beginning, but at least you start out like you can keep up with. If you go in there and you try to fake the funk, then you're not going to be able to sustain that forever, especially when you guys start hanging out more and you start being in each other's families more and more, and then it'll be a surprise. But if you just start out being real, then you know the thing that everybody has in common is they all love you. You know what I mean? Your significant other and your family all love you, and if that love is real, then everything else will work itself out. And that's kind of what happened. There was nothing that like I did. I didn't try to do anything. It's an example of really what God can do.
That's what I'm about to say. It's the Holy Spirit. I mean, that was the 100% the Holy Spirit working. There was a desire for it to be better. Didn't know how it was going to be better, but that was God himself came down because if you know what our history is and you see us now, you would think that that was two different people. Like I said, like me, I'll be honest. Me and Melvin's mom got into words, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't even say it was a full on argument, but we got into words over just a misunderstanding. It really was that simple. It was a misunderstanding. But there were other things that were building up that kind of all came out at once. And now, like I said, now, like, she's like, I have shared things with her that I haven't, I mean, like, to be honest, I haven't shared with some of my closest friends. You know what I'm saying? And so I have cried to your mom multiple times, and so you wouldn't even think that that would have been the same relationship. And to go back to what you were saying, is like bringing your authentic self. There's this saying in well, at least I don't know if it's just in the South, but they tell a lot of young women this when they get married, but start out like you can hold out.
That's what I was trying to remember. Yeah.
Basically, that for a married woman is, don't start patterns and things that you do that you're not going to be able to maintain over the duration of your marriage. And it's the same thing about basically bringing your authentic self. And that goes with any relationship. Like, it's imperative that you show people exactly who you are, so they can at least have the true honest decision of they can handle you or not. You know what I'm saying? If you're not showing people your true self, you don't really know if people like you or not, or if even if people can grow with you. Like, the love is not real because they're not loving the real you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what love is about. It says, the Bible says love covers a multitude of sins. Well, you're not allowing people to really love you if you're not showing your real self. And so I am grateful. And I used to be ashamed to admit that me and my mother in law had issues, but I'm actually grateful that it happened when it happened, because, like, she has been very instrumental in my mothering. And just like, because one thing that I love about Melvin's mom is that, like, she does not do that typical taking sides. Like, what's right is right. So I can talk to her very candidly. Now, I'm going to be respectful because A, I love my husband, and B, our household is our household. But I can be honest with her about issues that me and him may have when it comes, like, our difference in opinion, and she won't just jump on his side. If anything, she probably more so jump on my side than anything, but she has given some of the best advice and has done some things for us that we implement in our family life right now. And so, I mean, but I had to be real with her, like, and I'll give you an example. Because I was telling Melvin, I was giving him an example of, like, where the growth was, because when I first met, like, I come from a family that, like, is very sarcastic. There's really no guessing if people like you or not. Like, if they like you, they gonna laugh with you, talk to you, sit down with you and stuff. And that's Southern, But one thing I had to learn about Melvin's family in general is that they're reserved. So they don't put all their cards on the table. So you really don't know really how people feel about any situation. And that was very awkward for me at the beginning. So I just kind of moved. However, I didn't even try to consider what everybody was doing. I just did whatever I wanted to do, not really considering other people. Well, how that affected me in the past was that, like I told y'all, I would walk up into a situation, had nothing to do with me, walk into a situation where, I'm just going to use an example. Let's say Melvin's mom and her sister done got into it or something like that, or her cousin done had some words. And I'm walking into this situation. This is hypothetical, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know the situation, but, she's frustrated like anybody would be. And I just started talking and not considering that and not really knowing her nonverbal cues. And I would create situations that didn't need to be created. So fast forward to this past Thanksgiving, Melvin's mom is like that OG grandmama. Like, she take all the grandbabies, she cooks all the food, and she said, "Get out my house. I want to be with my grandbabies." So, but just like with anybody, at some point in time, you come to your limit. You know what I'm saying? And so we go over there. I think it was the day after Thanksgiving. It was on Black Friday. And we kind of go over there a little later and stuff like that. And, and it wasn't my fault. That was Melvin. That was her son that did that. He the one who wanted to go to the shopping, not me. But we go over there. And the moment she opened up the door, I could just tell without her saying anything that she was at her wit's end. you know? And immediately, instead of me saying something, instead of me getting an attitude, I just jumped right on in. I started doing stuff around the house. Melvin's dad has needs. I started tending to him. I started tending to my nieces and my nephew, and I just like, you know what? I'm just going to let her do what she needs to do because, A, she's been keeping our kids. She cooked this nice meal, and she don't have to tell me. I can see that she's at her wit's end because here's the thing, that generation, even my parents are like this. They're not going to tell you that they can't handle something. You just got to know people to know, like, okay, enough is enough. And I even think that if I were to have said something to your mama, that she would have like, no, I'm okay. No, you're not okay. And so sometimes you can't even say anything. You just got to jump in. But I had to learn that about her. I had to, like, just like I said, just like you learn your parents and when they're frustrated and when they need time alone, I had to learn that about my mother-in-law. And I've learned that. And I would say that also parallels with being married. I think sometimes people come in with this idea of like we're supposed to be already good wives and already good husbands. You got to learn how to be a good husband. You have to learn how to be a good wife. We don't come out the womb knowing how to be a good wife and a good spouse, and so grace has to be extended because these are new roles for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. To that point, you said it. Like, I think that you have to realize that on both sides. You have to realize that as a husband, I had to realize that I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. I don't know, so it takes a lot of pressure off of you when you don't have to pretend. You know what I mean? Let me pretend to be this great husband or this great whatever. At the end of the day, I just got to give it my best. And on the flip side, Kimberly has to give me grace in that and help me to be, um, give me the liberty to fail. You know what I'm saying? Give me the freedom to fail, but give me that trust. It's just like in a working situation. You know, I'm in a position where I manage people, and I have to be very cognizant of the fact that like my people feel like whether or not my people feel as if they can mess up. When people don't feel like they have room to fail, then they they fear trying, right? If you're just constantly on your significant other or whatever, then they're never going to get to their reach their potential, and you reach your potential by figuring it out, messing up,
Trial
doing
and
good,
error.
trial and error. And I see that playing out in terms of a husband and wife situation in by, you know, like we go into it with preconceived notions like this is what a wife is supposed to be as a husband. This is what Kimberly needs to be handling these situations like this, and she needs to do this and do that, and vice versa. One way that I see you have grown a lot, and we still have to always talk about this
Yeah,
on
yeah.
each other for each other, but you know, I feel like, and it's not like you did it a lot anyway, but I feel like you have started to see what I bring to the table. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So Kimberly's dad is like, when I say like on top of it, like this guy is, you know, Mr. Take care of everything. Like I can walk in their house and I see a table that's got a little adding machine, a checkbook. Like this is where he's balancing a checkbook. I could go to the garage. I know when he comes in town, he's gonna take the car to get it washed. I mean, it's just how he does it. He was the man of that. He took care of everything.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of the things that he was very strong in are not things that I'm super strong in. Now, I've learned over the years to get better at it, but for me, I don't think about all those things all the time. But there are things that I bring to the table that are different. You know what I mean? And I remember at there were some times at the beginning where we would have, it's almost like a comparison, and
Yeah.
really, it's natural, right?
Yeah,
Because
it
she has
was.
an idea of
That was my example of a man,
right,
you know?
and at first I would kind of buck that. I'm like, listen, that's not what I'm going to try, but that's not what I can do. But then, you know, I had to kind of humble out, man, and I did try to like sit back and learn from her dad. Like I talk to him all the time. I have long conversations and really just learn his approach to things. And some of that I'll do, and some of it I won't do. Sometimes he'll come over the house and I could see um, where he'll be like, "Oh, the car is messy," And hey, listen, that's just
Hey.
I'm not that's not my thing. That don't mean that I won't ever get to that point, but I, you know, he for me and him, he knows there was a point in time where his daughter went to him for everything, and then it abruptly stopped.
Stopped.
So
Went after I do.
yeah, and really even before then,
Yeah.
I take my role as a husband very serious, but I have to understand that it's something that I'm going to learn and grow in every day. But when we approach it like that, I feel like it has helped us to flourish a lot more. Um,
Yeah, and just to speak on that, because that was like, and not to say that my dad is just perfect, but of course, as a girl that had a present father, that was my example of how a man should lead, and I was so used to things, me not thinking of things. And I think where the turning point came with me and Melvin was that, and I'm not perfect in this, y'all. I'm not, okay? Because a man like that raises, somebody to be like that. So it's like, I'm not perfect, okay? But what I have to remind myself is that when I actually became aware of how my father led our household, I probably was early 20s, like 19, or even a little younger than that, 18, 19, 20. Well, think about how long he had been a father at that point. Like my parents got married in the 70s. So when I was 20, he had been a head of a household for over 20 years. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So he had tons. I don't know how my dad was when he first got married to my mom. I don't know how he was as a brand new parent.
I think that dude came out the house in
Well, but
a
see, we don't know that. And I think sometimes we can compare ourselves, and it's really like comparing apples to oranges. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know how many times things had to be missed for him to finally commit it to memory, like this needs to happen this time, because we don't know that. And my dad is a very A-type personality, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that him being a first time father, I mean, like anybody who's a first time parent, there's so many unknowns. You know what I'm saying? So I'm comparing my brand new husband, or my newly becoming a husband, to a man who got like 30 some years on him, in the game.
right.
That ain't fair. And that's the same thing like Melvin comparing his mom to me or something like that, which I would have to say that like his mom is very open about where her shortcomings were when she first became a mother and a wife and stuff like that. Like you would never know that this woman could not quote unquote cook, because she can cook her tail off. But she's told me stories about how when she first got married, she didn't know how to cook. She humbled herself out and she sat at the feet of her mother-in-law. I took that same advice and I've sat at the feet of her, because she is used to cooking for the masses, and that is something that is an interest of mine that my mother didn't teach me, because my mama didn't like to cook. And it doesn't mean that one is better than the other, but just like with anything, if I have an interest that's similar to someone else, why wouldn't I sit at their feet? And so I would say that it's our MO to be 100% honest with y'all. You know what I'm saying? And so that is really where the turning point came with me, is when I start calculating like, okay, my sister was born in 78. My parents got married in 72. So when I was about 20, that was what? 2005, my daddy had about 30 some years of being a parent and being, and more than that, being a husband, where people were depending upon him. You know what I'm saying? So I can't compare my husband that, at the time, like, I was like, that's foolish to compare him. And even now, and I can see growth in Melvin now. Like, there's things he does that I'm just not good at. And praise the Lord, because that's why it takes two.
It definitely takes two. Yeah, so ultimately, man, we are very blessed with our family. Because in the same way, I try to always take up time with Kim's dad. We kind of have complementing characteristics where, like, he's done had a lot of life and will tell stories about it. And I mean, I've always enjoyed hearing stories about from people who have gone before me. Like, I used to sit and listen to my grandma tell stories, and I would want to hear the same stories over and over again. It just interests me. And so me and her dad will sit and talk, and he doesn't necessarily. Now, if I ask him a direct question about, how did you do this or how did you go about that, and I do, and he tells me without, being judgmental or anything like that. But a lot of the times, I just learn the way he thinks by just him telling me stories about early in his marriage, being in the war, and you know, being helping running the farm, and just his approach to life and his approach to things. And we have very similar. Um, I guess maybe that's just a man thing where just taking the job of being a husband and a dad like very serious. Like, I take it very serious that, like, my job is to protect and you know I don't know, just be there for my family. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know, you know, I know that I won't always do it the right way, but I know my heart is always like my family is super important to me and super like um yeah, so anyway.
Let's flip it then, because we talked about the Thanksgiving week. So, what was some growth areas when we went to Memphis and we spent time with my family? Because it was back to back, your family then my family.
Um Growth areas just in general.
Yeah, like things that might have rattled us in the past, but they they
Well, we
don't
talked
now.
about this before. I think for both of us, we have just learned to meet each other where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Traveling is has always been like the perfect storm for us.
Yep.
Um, Especially when we get like Kimberly is like and her family, they are
Time oriented.
time oriented, and like it's funny, like her mom and her sister all complain about the same thing in each other,
I don't
which
see
is
that.
they do too much. Like the queens are doing too much.
No,
And
we
that
not.
sounds like a slight, but that's I'm just telling you the way that they put it. Like the way that they put it about one another. Is they
Because we
like,
constantly telling each other, you need to calm down.
yeah, y'all doing too much. But the way that it comes out is we have really cool experiences. Like if they planning it, it's gonna be a cool experience. We know, like when you come with my family, you gonna chill.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
you gonna
saying?
chill and
You gonna chill.
relax.
Like my mom gonna take the kids. You go and get like we will at least get. But when you with her family, we gonna be up early. We gonna be having some activities. We're gonna be doing some things. And if you not paying attention, you're gonna find yourself running crazy. Like I learned my lesson the first year, before we was even married, that I stick with Kimberly's dad and and Zach. And I don't. That's my
That's my
brother-in-law,
brother-in-law.
and I don't involve myself. Like if I'm gonna go out with the girls, then I know what I'm getting into. But anyway, um, that is a perfect storm for Kimberly and I to get into, just friction because our, I'm chill, man. And so now I think part of it is that I've grown and learned to like I try to do things that are I try to look out for those things that are like pet peeves for Kimberly, but most of it is that Kimberly has just learned, I think, to give me a lot of grace when it comes to that, and she doesn't set the the bar so high, so it just don't leave her room for frustration. That's my guess. I know that you have grown a lot in that, and I think that that plays the biggest part in that not being such a stressful time for us. Certain things I do, like making sure I'm packed, like I'll stay up and pack. I try not to do things at the last minute as much as possible. But, you know, no matter how hard I try, I'm not gonna be the
Well, we
same.
over the years we've kind of gotten. I think we've gotten better, and it's still evolving. But we've gotten better with like packing and getting out. Like I run through an itinerary. Like this is the time that we need to leave, so we can get there at this time, and all this stuff, and trying to be very communication, y'all. Like really just communicating. Like I'll ask Melvin, "Do you need me to pack up some stuff?" And typically he can pack up he will pack up his stuff. Um, I pack for the girls, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, he's fully capable of doing it. But, it's just something that, it's something that we've grown comfortable doing. I think for me, when it comes to dealing with family, my side particularly, it's been very good being with Melvin and acquiring his chill mentality, you know? And one of the things that we really try to have as a unit is that we gonna do what we gonna do. The Ellis family gonna do what the Ellis family is gonna do. Our household is gonna be intact. So meaning that if we have planned as a family, a household to do something, we're not going to let others come in and break that up. And we've had that done. I'll give you an example. And I'll just throw out random stuff, not stuff that actually necessarily has happened to us, but just things that can happen. You know, let's say for instance you want to get some time away with your kids, take them to the movies, just your unit, your household. Well, you got other people that want to rush in and want to be a part, and then because you have other people there, the movie that you originally want to watch has now changed into what everybody else wants to watch. Now what we do is if we go in and we say we want to go see Wreck It Ralph or Ralph Breaks the Internet, we about to go see Ralph Breaks the Internet. And if anybody else wants to come to the movies, that's the movie that we are going to see because we had planned that ahead of time. You come along with us, we don't go along with you because we already had plans. Now, if we don't have plans, we'll go along with the group. And I think that's the other side of it is that we are the family that will go with the flow. Like, we're not picky about where we go to eat. you know, like Melvin is the pickiest of the picky, but he can find something on any menu pretty much. He only got a few hard nose, which is like certain types of food, but any typical place, he can find something to eat on that menu. Like, we don't, and that's where we balance it at. Like, okay, we don't have too many hard expectations, but when we do, it's going to have to be what it's going to be. And we have made sure amongst ourselves to be a united front. And again, we're still evolving in it, but that is something that I know for just, us in general. And like he said, with my family, there's a whole itinerary. Like, you going to be tired at the end of the day messing with my side of the family. Everybody gets up early on that side of the family and we run all day long. Like, you gonna be exhausted. When we came back from Memphis, we were exhausted. The whole family crashed when we got home. But you are gonna have some good memories and you gonna have some good experiences.
But your family, I will say this now, y'all go, but I've never felt any type of judgment if I need to tap out. You know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying? Like y'all gonna go ahead and do y'all's thing. Don't nobody have no. Uh, so that has always
For
been cool.
you, there's some judgment
Oh,
on me because that was our thing when we grew up. Like that was what we did. Me and my mom and my sister, we would hit the streets just like how I do with our girls. Like pack them girls up and we out in these streets running around out and about. And so that you had mentioned to me about like just like Melvin had to, challenge me on something. He was like, y'all are really good at leaving your daddy out of stuff. And it's like, I'm still trying to work through like not feeling that pressure of like, what they say, FOMO, fear of missing out, you know what I'm
hmm
saying? And it's like, you don't get to see your family like you want to see them. And now you're together and you want to do everything together, and you know you only have so much time with each other because the trip is not very long. And so, that is where I am still evolving, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, and like, here's the thing. It was so funny because I'm just thinking about the two situations. Like I remember asking your mama, "What time we eating Thanksgiving?" She was like, "I'm gonna shoot for this time, and we'll see how that work out with everything going on." And then like with my family, it was like, "Okay, everybody needs to meet over here at 8, no later than 8:15." Like it's just
man.
in the morning, y'all. So that ain't no sleeping in with my family.
After running a race, and
After running
yeah,
a race. Ain't no sleeping in with my family.
yeah, you just got to be prepared, man. But that's why it's funny. Um, yeah, it was cool watching our daughter get hang out with
All her
yeah,
cousins.
that was fun. What else? Um, let's talk. We talk about family all the time. We gotta get on some other type of subjects.
That's
What's going on in the world?
where we at. Well, y'all probably wouldn't hadn't been able to tell, but I'm hungry. That's hungry and angry because I have decided to do a full holistic cleanse. I'm doing a juice cleanse. Don't ask me how many days because depending on how I feel, it changes. I started out saying 10 days and then I think I got a little overzealous. And so then, like, today is the first day. And then I think at noon I was like, okay, maybe I should just do 3 days. Or would that be bad if I just do one? So I don't know. I've been up here drinking water and sipping on my juice, and so other than that, that's
Hmm?
the big thing going on with me. What's going on with you, bruh?
Just just work, man. I've been had a big release and but just trying to wrap up this year. Heading into what is this? The wrapping up the second quarter.
No, baby, we in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter of who?
Well, you know what? Let me not even say. I don't even know. I don't even know
No.
that jargon. I'm just a
Yeah.
regular person. Let me stop.
Nah. Yeah. It's the end of the second quarter, I think. But
But we coming at the. You know what? Let
it
me
goes.
stop. Let me stop. I thought it was 4 quarters. I mean,
It is 4 quarters,
but
but
we in December now.
I know, but it does. The fiscal year goes from like
I see you talking about something else.
yeah.
Never mind. Fiscal year.
But anywho, I mean, who am I? I can't remember if it's the end of the second or if we're in the third, but um, so I've been trying to trying to wrap that up and just getting back. I had to do a lot of coding. I'm a, I've said this before, but I'm a software developer, but I manage a team now, so a lot of my time is spent on the management side. But here recently, I've had to kind of put my coding boots back on, and it's something that I enjoy and something that I'm good at. But now it's time to switch back because all that time I spent coding, now it's time to get back into personnel things and getting that stuff all cleaned up and ready to go. But yeah, it's been exciting. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's exciting when you gotta like you know alter things and jump in and try to fix it. I like stuff like that. It's stressful, but I like it. But other than that, nothing really big going on. Just yeah,
Mm.
being dad, being hubby.
Yep, we're gearing up for Christmas. That's the next holiday coming up in the next couple of weeks. And, we've gotten the bug of running. Well, I've been having the bug, but Melvin did very, very well in the 10K. I'm a slow runner, so I run as slow as a snail, and that's okay for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to win. Nothing. I did get a finisher medal, and that was fine, and I like that. But he did much much better than me, and much much better than what I think he thought, and what he was going, and what I thought too, because the man don't work out, y'all. Like, I didn't know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know, and he really did really well. So we're going to do a 5K and on Christmas Eve. And we've set a goal for 2019 that we're going to achieve a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. I think that is something that is very achievable, being that we just did 6.2 miles. That's what a 10K is. And so, be with us. We're both getting on up in age. And so we're trying to live our best life, So, but other than that, I think that's really all that's really been going on. I think we brought y'all up to speed and told y'all why we disappeared for a week. And yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Alrighty, guys. So I definitely want to shout out all of our social media handles. And if you're not following us there, you definitely should. Facebook, we are SoulSense Podcast. On Twitter, we are SoulSense Pod, short for podcasts. And on Instagram, we are SoulSense Podcast as well. We post on there often throughout the week. The main handles that we're definitely on are Instagram, Facebook. We're very active there. Um, we also have a blog that goes up weekly. And in the new year, we will be starting our newsletter, and that will be a monthly thing. So, lots of great things coming up. If you are not subscribed to our website, go ahead. It's free 99. Go ahead to the SoulSense Ministries.com. You have an opportunity to subscribe to get all the different updates from whenever we post. That's like the hub for everything that we do. Definitely want to shout all that out. And again, we thank you guys for going on this journey with us. We appreciate you. We love you guys. And anything else before I sign us out?
Nope.
All right. This is Kim and my trusty wingman, Melvin, and we will catch you later. Bye.
Peace.